Today, we are making a chocolate mousse tart. We're going to start with the crust. I'm using 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and then 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, and 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. Just sift all that together. It helps break up those little cocoa and sugar lumps so the dough is smoother later on. Then you want to add in a good pinch of salt. Give it a quick whisk. We're just trying to make sure the cocoa is mixed in evenly. Don't want any pale streaks later. Now, we really want to keep the butter cold at this point. Cut it into small cubes so it blends more evenly, and that way we don't have to handle it this long. Add 1 stick of cold, unsalted butter. I like to start with a fork. It breaks the butter up without warming it up too fast, and it helps get those little pieces spread throughout the dry mix. Then use your fingertips to rub the butter in and work quickly. Stop when it looks like fine chocolate crumbs. Those little cold butter pieces are what give the shell that delicate, crumbly texture. Now, 1 large egg. That's what brings the dough together. And then 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Just mix until the dry crumbs start clumping together. Once the eggs in, don't overwork it. Otherwise, you get a firm crust instead of a tender one. Now, press it together with your hands. Don't knead it. As soon as it comes together into one smooth piece, that's enough. Then it goes onto your board. Wrap it well so the surface doesn't dry out in the fridge, and also so it doesn't pick up any fridge smells. Flatten it into a disc so it chills evenly, and it'll be much easier to roll out afterwards. Chill it until it feels firm. Meanwhile, the pan needs a light coating. This little bit of butter helps the baked crust release cleanly. Otherwise, those delicate edges can stick and break when you try to lift them out. The dough should be cold but flexible. If it feels soft or sticky, then just give it a bit more fridge time. Roll it out on parchment to about 1/8 inch thick. The parchment stops it sticking, so we don't have to add extra flour to the dough. Try to keep that thickness even, especially around the edges. The easiest way to move a thin sheet like this is to roll it loosely around the rolling pin. That supports the dough so it doesn't tear. And then you can unroll it over the pan and let it fall in without stretching it. Gently press it across the bottom. Then roll across the top, and the sharp rim trims off the extra dough for you. Just whisk away the bigger scraps without pulling at the edge. Then press the dough into the fluted sides, keep it even all the way around, and try not to leave any thin spots. Prick the base all over with a fork. Those little holes let steam escape, which keeps the bottom flat rather than puffing up in the oven. Go right out to the edges too. And now the shell needs 1 more chill, so give it 15 minutes to firm up again. Once it's cold, line the shell gently with parchment and fill it with dry beans or rice or lentils, bringing the weights right up to the sides to hold the walls in place. This first bake sets the shape of the shell before we take the weights out. Bake it blind at 340 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. By now, the sides are set, so we can take the beans out without the wall sliding down. Lift out the parchment. Now the bottom can finish baking uncovered. Put it back in for another 8 to 10 minutes. The center should look dry and matte, but it's still very fragile while hot. Let the shell cool completely before filling it. Any warmth could soften the crust and loosen the mousse. While that cools, let's start the filling. We need 7 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate. Chop it small, and honestly, the smaller the better. Once it's all chopped, move it into a bowl so we can melt it down. I'm setting up a gentle double boiler so the chocolate melts slowly and evenly. Keep the water at a quiet simmer, no high heat, and make sure the bowl stays dry. Stir the chocolate as it melts nice and slowly. Too much heat can make chocolate thick and dull, so only give it enough warmth to melt it completely smooth. When there are no little pieces left, it's ready. Take it off the heat and let it cool slightly. Now the cream cheese, 10.5 ounces of full-fat block green cheese, and 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. The cream cheese has to be at room temperature so it mixes completely smooth. Now pour in the 7 ounces of warm melted chocolate. And mix right away until that base is smooth and glossy. This is the one point where temperature really matters. If the cream cheese is cold, the chocolate can set into tiny hard specks. And once that happens, it's almost impossible to get them out. In a clean bowl, add 2/3 of a cup of cold, heavy cream. Whip it only to soft peaks. When you lift the beaters, the tip should bend over instead of standing straight up. Now add that 2/3 of a cup of whipped cream to the chocolate base. Fold it in gently, just until the paler streaks disappear. Spoon the mousse into the completely cold shell, taking it all the way out to the edge without leaving any gaps. Take your time smoothing the top. The glaze will be thin, so every little dip or ridge underneath will show. Now the mousse needs time to set. Chill it for at least 5 hours, but overnight is even better. Once it's chilled, we'll add the final touch, which is a simple glaze made with about half a bar of chocolate. Same double boiler setup here. Again, keep the heat low and steady. Set the chocolate over the steam and stir only until it's completely melted and smooth. Because the pieces are small, that should happen pretty quickly. Take it off the heat before adding the butter. Add 1/4 of a stick and stir it until the glaze is smooth. Then let it cool until it feels barely warm, not hot. The tart itself should be thoroughly chilled. Pour the glaze right into the center. Starting there helps it spread in one smooth, even layer. Instead of using a spatula, just gently tilt the tart, letting the glaze move by itself across the surface. Then chill it for about 15 minutes to let that glaze set. Once the glaze is set, the tart is ready to slice. For the cleanest slices, use a warm, dry knife and wipe the blade between cuts so the mousse doesn't drag. And there it is, a crumbly cocoa crust, smooth chocolate mousse, and a soft glaze on top. It's rich, it's chocolatey, but it's not overly sweet. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And if you enjoyed it, I'd love it if you hit like and subscribe.